What's going on, guys? And today we're going to be doing a book review. I know it's a little different for this channel, but I just finished this book and I figure I might as well talk about it. And the book is called Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and the Birth of the F.B.I. by David Grann. Now, David Grann is also well known for being the best-selling author of The Lost City of Z. And I didn't know that, but it says it on the cover, so it might as well be true. Now, this book I actually have been reading over the course of the last couple weeks, and I'm very intrigued by it, especially because it has historical significance to it. Now, I did always wonder, why the FBI was created. I kind of always just assumed that it was a thing that the government came up with, and it was like the governmental police force. Now, this book goes into why the FBI was created. Now, starting back in, I think it's the early 1900s in this book, there were a lot of mysterious murders going on in Osage County, tell me how I'm pronouncing that wrong, Oklahoma, which is a Native American reservation. And they couldn't really figure out what was going on as to who was committing these murders, how these Native Americans were dying. But it goes on to pretty much explain as to how at the time the Native Americans were viewed as irresponsible, so they weren't allowed to money that were in their funds and had to basically have a guardian who would distribute the money to them as they saw fit. Now, the Native Americans in this county had a lot of money because their reservation was basically found that under it was all oil, and in the early 1900s, oil was a huge thing. So, pretty much, spoiler alerts, this book goes into finding out all the corruption behind who basically committed these murders to get a hold of the Native Americans' money, and as to why the FBI had to be created, because local officials were too afraid to basically persecute the people who were involved. So the government, the United States government themselves, had to step in to figure out just what the heck was going on. Now, this book is cool because it has that historical significance, and it talks in a historical sense. There's no first person until like the last chronicle. This book is divided into 3 chronicles. One basically telling the beginning of the story. The second one basically finding out who did the crimes and what their motives were. And the third one kind of takes place in modern time with the person visiting this territory and speaking to all, like the people who were still alive, whose relatives were affected by this crisis in the 1920s. Overall, I would definitely say this was a really fun read, a really good book. It went in depth with a lot of like the motives. It's not like a book that they just said, well, he did this for this. No, it got into like the planning of how the person who was basically the mastermind, who they had involved, how everything was all set up, and why it was supposed to be foolproof until it just wasn't. Now, overall, this was a beautiful read, as I mentioned, and I would definitely recommend picking this one up if you guys want to know just kind of historically why the FBI was created. If you guys want to know about the Osage murders and the Osage Native Americans, and pretty much if you just really want a good read that's like basically reading a history book, but it's done in such a fashion that you would think it was just a novel, but it's not. You learn a lot from this book, and I definitely recommend it, guys. If you guys have read this, let me know what you think about it. What you thought of the book, what you thought of the context. Did they leave things out, or did they not? Did they tell the story just perfectly, guys? That's Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders, and someone in there, tell me how I'm pronouncing this wrong, Osage, the Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI. I know I've pretty much pronounced that word differently every time I've said it, but guys, let me know what you thought of this book, if you want to read it. So always, guys, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, go check out all my other videos, and as always, thank you for watching.